God we will follow.
Hello and welcome to Trinity Talk Live, water cooler conversation from a Christian perspective. I am Ken Coughlin. Thank you very much for joining us today. And today we're going to do something we've done a couple times in the past, and we've had some new folks join us here at Trinity, and that's that we're going to dedicate a Trinity Talk Live episode to getting to know them. So hey, look who I've got here with me today. So who do I have here with me today?
My name's Christian, and I'm the Youth and Family Ministries Director here at Trinity.
And he's really famous. He's kind of like Cher or Madonna. He's only got one name, and he just decided, hey, if I'm going to be a Christian, I'll just have my name be Christian. Or am I wrong? Do you have a last name?
I mean, it can be whatever we want it to be, so we can change it on paper.
Okay, there you go. So, we're going to tell people what your real last name is. I hate to break it to you. You can't make it up.
It's Reed.
Oh, well, I've probably already had it on the screen, so.
That works.
All right. So, hey, I forgot to ask you something before we get into the rest of these questions. So anyway, I'm sorry. We're meeting Christian Reed today. Christian, you already said your job title, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's whatever he just said he was, because I never remember what the new job titles are around here. So we're going to talk a little bit about, Christian himself, and he'll explain a little bit what falls under that job title, because I know for a lot of you folks here at Trinity, there's been some changes in the way things and staff's been organized around here, and so you may be wondering a little bit about what that means. We're going to go into that for a minute. But before we do, and I didn't tell you this was coming because I just remembered, surprise, I do that a lot on the show. You and I and Pastor Jay were having a conversation up in the annex last week, and he said that you said something during the interview that as soon as you said it, he said, "This is the man." And I don't remember what it was, but it really impressed me, whatever it was. Do you remember what it was?
I think it was discipleship, talking about discipleship, and that's like the focus of everything.
So the moment you said that was your vision was...
Yeah, it was like meaning that was like what the goal of a Christian should be, is discipleship of all levels, all facets of everything.
And now it's time for Christian honesty. You knew you were applying for a job with the NALC. With NALC. Yeah. Did you Google that before you did the interview?
I did not Google it for the first one, just because I got connected. Like, hey, meet the pastor. I was like, okay, I'll just go see what this is about. And then after we got a little further, I started to Google it a little bit and try and learn.
So the discipleship comment was really just Holy Spirit moving you.
That was just something I've always kind of felt and known.
So that's just amazing. My wife is holding up a question right now, and we'll say no. Oh, wait, you want me to actually ask him on air? Okay, and I don't even know that's the right answer. I never even asked him that. So we have some people here who at Trinity by the last name of Reed as well, one of which is Tom, who's one of our heart ministers. Any relation to Tom and Bev Reed?
None.
See, told you. There's none. All right. So what we're going to do, like I said, we've got a few, those of you that have watched these episodes before, we did one with Randy Gast when he came on as head of school. We did one with Pastor Jay when he became our pastor. And now we're doing one with Christian. So we've got kind of a series of questions that some are, shall we say, more meaningful, and some are just plain fun. And we're going to throw these out at him. And he has an idea. We've kind of prepped him for what the questions might be. He doesn't know necessarily which ones I'm going to choose, what order I'm going to go in. But I did tell him the first one. Let's get some business out of the way. You mentioned your job title, which is?
Youth and Family Ministries Director.
Youth and Family Ministries Director. Now, when we talked to Ben and Lori last week about their new job titles, and we talked about it in terms of columns. I keep saying last week. The show is on only every other week now. So it was 2 weeks ago we talked to Ben and Lori. But they talked about what falls under their column. So what falls under your column?
So my column is everything children's, Sunday school, things like that, the youth team, and then I think the college ministries put under the formal column, but there's not a whole lot there right now. So that's like one thing we're trying to build up and look at what that would look like going into 2020 and beyond.
And you have other folks. It's not all you. So like you're not like teaching all the Sunday school classes, doing all the you have other folks that do stuff for you as well.
Yeah, my main job is to kind of create like a main vision for it. So how do we take the child from birth up through high school graduation? How do we create a disciple and that's ready to go out? So when they graduate high school, can they go wherever they want in the country and be an active disciple and member of the community.
Let me ask you on that, because we've used that word a lot, and it was actually the topic of the last episode 2 weeks ago, and we were even talking about it the episode before that, and that's discipleship.
Yeah.
And you mentioned it, that this is what you see the job of a Christian being. So let me ask you to define, if you could, for the audience, what do you see the role of a disciple is, or what is a disciple?
So a disciple is anyone who's fully dedicated to Christ. So even with the 12 disciples, they followed Jesus wherever they went. That was the norm in the ancient world, is that you kind of have your teacher and you just kind of follow them. You do everything like them, because if you do that, then you're going to become like them and be awesome like they are if you chose them. Because if you chose the teacher, you must really like them and really want to emulate them. So Jesus picked his disciples out of like the least educated groups and most kind of a motley crew, and then they just were like, I want to emulate this guy and be like him.
That's I find that to be fascinating, because that was so countercultural for the Jewish culture at the time. Normally, if you had a rabbi picking disciples, they'd want to pick the best of the best, so to speak, the cream of the crop. And here Jesus picks, fisherman,
the rejects.
A tax collector.
Yeah.
I mean, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
But doesn't that show a little bit about what our attitude should be as Christians, I think, too?
Some of them were like kids, too. Like they were like teenagers, basically. Yeah. And then changes the world with a bunch of teenagers.
Okay, good. I'm glad to know we agree about that. So, as far as I'm concerned, and I have no authority whatsoever, you can keep your job. Yes. So,
nailed it.
I've impressed the man who has no power over my job or position here whatsoever. Woohoo! All right. All right, so let's dive in. We got ready for the questions?
I guess so.
All right, I might throw a few extra ones in there just to think of something.
I'll wing it.
Okay, there we go. All right, let's talk a little bit about you to begin with. As far as I understand that you do have some background working with kids before you took this job. What kind of background you got there?
All right, so ministry or just with kids?
Just with kids in general.
With kids in general. So I went to school to be a teacher. So I went to Shippensburg University for history education. So I spent the last 4 years with Harford County. So I was teaching in Aberdeen Middle. Mm-hmm. So that was doing 7th grade. So I have a lot of background in that. So middle school, ancient history, kind of like my focal areas.
And now you mentioned you've got some ministry work before too.
Yeah. So in 2010, I started doing camp ministry.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that for 4 summers, 2 as a counselor, 3 as the assistant program director. And then I got a couple people approached me that were from one of our feeder churches for that camp and wanted me to be their youth director for a year. Because I told them I could only do a year because I was getting married and moving down here. So they're like, that's fine. Just come in and steer us for a little bit, and then you can go on your way. So
and they let you go.
Yeah, they were cool with that. I'm like, okay.
Was that up in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, that was all up in Pennsylvania.
Okay, where in Pennsylvania were you exactly?
So I grew up in Shippensburg. So let's
assume that most people have no idea where that is.
Yeah, so that is an hour south of Harrisburg on 81. Or
can you go an hour south of Harrisburg without getting into Maryland? You got Harrisburg, and you got York underneath it, right?
Okay, we'll split it at like 50 minutes.
Okay,
because it was just enough that I could not get gas reimbursement when I student taught around Harrisburg. If it was an hour, I would have gotten gas money back. Shippensburg purposely chose it to be under that mark, so I could not get, and I had to blow all my money on gas. So
you couldn't take an alternate route or something? I don't know.
No, the 81 was it was just not a great time.
So if traffic was bad, you could get reimbursed. No, that's not the way it worked. So.
No, it was just certain miles. I was like, really?
So, but we're talking just north of the Maryland border, just into Pennsylvania?
It's about 30 minutes north of the Maryland border off of 81. So, I mean, Hagerstown would be a little bit of a trek, but nothing extreme.
Undoable.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you. So when did you move down here? How long have you been in Harford County?
So I've been in Harford County since 2015. So I got married to my wife in 2015. She got a job down here right out of college in math at Bel Air High School. So she liked her job and was doing really well here. I was kind of the goober with no job because I was like subbing and doing youth ministry. So
that's a job.
It's a job, but it was like also part-time, so couldn't really pay for any bills with that. And Pennsylvania is really hard to break in for teaching. So came down here and just kind of in Harford County was, I think, coming off of their pay freezes. So there was still tons of job opportunities for me. Excellent. So that worked out.
So she's still teaching at Bel Air?
Yeah, she still teaches there.
Wow, and she still likes it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So I know that one of the questions on here was going to be asking you about your family. You've already mentioned that you have a wife.
Yes, I do.
Anything else you want to share about your family?
So my wife's name is Maria, and we have a son named Sam. So he is 2 in a couple months. I don't keep track of months because I feel like that's too much math.
She does. I guarantee.
She does, but I can't. It's too much math. Way too much math for me. So he's 2.
What does she teach again?
She teaches at Bel Air High School.
No, what does she teach?
What? Oh, math.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, she's great with math. Me, I'm just like, okay, you're 2. After 18 months, it's a year and a half or 2. You're in that range somewhere.
Are you gonna go? But you allow 2.5?
I'll allow 2.5. Yeah,
You allow 2.5.
I just can't keep track of the months after like 24.
So excellent, and well, we've already talked all about your wife, talked about what she does. So it's so funny, these questions are coming up, and yet you kind of already hit on them. So we're just gonna
smooth transition.
So let's have another smooth transition. This is going to be the segue to end all segues. What's your favorite food?
Favorite food? Ooh.
That's called lack of segue, by the way. Go ahead.
There's a lot. I just like food, so
I don't at all. Can't you tell? No, sorry.
That's why I try and like do all the running so that way I can like justify eating a whole Chinese buffet.
I used to run a lot. Matter of fact, you wouldn't believe this, but just 3-4 years ago, I ran a half marathon, and it was a half marathon trail run. It was like the hardest run I've ever run in my life. However, I tore the meniscus in my knee, as I found out. I didn't find out until afterwards, but I fell. At one point slipped on some mud and I fell down, and then I'd taken a few weeks off anyway because I was just recovering, and then when I tried to go back out again, I didn't even get half a block, and I had this excruciating pain in my knee, and I realized that probably when I fell during that race, I'd actually torn the meniscus in my knee, and I had to have surgery, and I tried to get back into it afterwards, and I just couldn't. And so it's a warning sign to be careful and only do what your body allows you to do. And I do obviously need to get back into something. But my issue is I was always a cross country runner growing up, and so I liked going out and seeing long distance. So what I probably need to do is I probably need to get a bike or something so I can still go out and
with less strain.
With less strain on these. So anyway, so you run? Is that what you do?
Yes. So I did the Baltimore half marathon, which was Saturday, so the 19th.
Cool.
So that was, did all right. Not my best. My best, I was like in college, I had like an hour 43, I think, or something like that.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I was like proud of that one. That one was like super cold and awful weather-wise. This one was good. But like the only injury I got from this one was like I have some tendonitis in my ankle right now, so rocking the icy hot.
Take care of it.
Stay off of it so that way it doesn't get worse.
Don't overdo it.
Yep. It's kind of my plan.
Yeah. Because you don't want to have to get surgery. That's not fun.
Yeah, exactly.
So my goal was always to do I wanted to always do the Disney World Marathon, where you actually run through all the parks. Not only because it's kind of neat to run through all the parks, but because guess what Florida has that we don't have up here? Everything's flat.
Yeah, but it's also like 10 times more humid.
That is, but they start at like 3 a.m. I know it's humid, but it's like
humid.
Early
That's still too much.
So you're not doing the Disney World Marathon, is that what you're saying?
No. I'm going to try and do the King Crab Challenge this next year. Do the Frederick half, I think the 10-miler, and Baltimore, then maybe the Baltimore full marathon.
When are those? Do you know?
The Frederick's in May. There's one, I think, in August. That's one I'm not looking forward to because that's the brutal hot. And then the Baltimore is usually pretty nice and flat.
Cool. All right, so
food.
It's funny, we were talking about food.
Yeah,
we never finished food. What's your favorite?
Food, I really like burgers just because they're incredibly versatile and you can do whatever you want with them. So
different toppings.
Yeah, you can mix and match, make it your own, customize it.
Do you have a favorite topping?
I really just like stacking like whatever you can find that seems edible. Like,
all right.
Like that's why I still think Sheetz is the superior to Wawa, which I know is an unpopular opinion here in Maryland. But like if I want a burger that I can stack onion rings and mac and cheese bites and other stuff on, I can do that at Sheetz. If I want to give myself a heart attack, I can go to Sheetz and do that.
Like, you can.
That's the beauty of the burger.
No, not just onions, but onion rings.
Rings.
Breaded onion rings. And
mac and cheese bites, so deep fried mac and cheese.
On the same one with the onion
Same
rings.
one. Mozzarella sticks. Like they literally ask you, do you want to add this?
I'm just picturing a burger that's about this tall by the time you're done with it.
Yeah, if you want to do that, yeah. But I mean, if you want to break the bank too. But
how do you get that in your mouth?
You use a knife because you're fancy. You have to use class whenever you're eating something like that.
Whenever you're eating something with that much grease, you need to have class.
And then you go run like a marathon or something first, so that way you can justify it to yourself.
Or you're supposed to run it afterwards to burn it off?
No, because you have like a negative like you have some debt in calories, so you got to replenish that debt.
I see.
Yeah.
What you're doing. I see what
It's
you're thinking.
solid math.
Says the guy who doesn't like to do math. And
Exactly.
won't
That's
even
why I
count
chose-
months in his kid's age.
Yeah, that's why I chose history.
All right. So how about a color? Do you have a favorite color?
Green.
Why?
It's nature.
Also the
Outside.
color of my shirt today.
Yeah. I was going to try and find my green shirt, but it was in the wash. I was like, okay, I guess we'll go with blue. Blue's
That
the
works.
second favorite, so.
So what about nature? What appeals to you about nature?
It's peaceful.
Are you a camper?
Yeah.
Really? How often do you go camping?
So so back to camp ministry, I had a core group of guys, and we try and do a yearly camping trip somewhere. So we've done Ohio Pile before, over in Western Pennsylvania. This year we did Harper's Ferry, and it just downpoured. So, which was great because we were the only ones there because
Right.
everyone else just didn't show up because it was pouring rain. So we stayed and had a grand old time.
I love how you say that's great as opposed to lack of common sense, because maybe there's a reason the rest of the people didn't show up. Do you ever think of that?
It was just wet. It's water. we did a youth camping trip one year, and it rained the entire weekend, and we made a fire in the rain.
That's
It
impressive.
just required an entire bottle of lighter fluid.
That is most impressive. No, I've done that before. I was in Boy Scouts growing up, and we had some fun camporees, whatever we would go to, and we had one in particular where there was a big hike associated with along this 50-mile trail, and you can go different segments of it, and some kids try to do the whole thing. But I remember one year we went to that thing, and it was just downpouring the whole time. But the Boy Scouts were still there because they were prepared, right? All right, so let's talk a little bit about some of your hobbies.
Okay.
First of all, because this is the question that all your youth are going to want to know, do you play video games?
Yes.
Are there any you would particularly be interested in sharing on camera?
There's a lot. That's how I connected with middle schoolers. Right now, I'm like really into Civilization 6.
I have no idea what that is.
Basically, it was started as a computer game. Now they're putting on like everything. You just make the greatest civilization you can. So it gives you a couple ones from history, and you just build.
So
it
it's
from
like
scratch.
Sims, but history.
With it, yeah. So
I know Sims.
Yeah, so like right now, like I'm doing one that's France, and Germany wants to start wars, so I'm just slowly marching through Germany.
You really are a history geek, aren't you?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. So, also, we establish here why you are qualified to be a youth leader and I am not, because I have no idea what that. I've never heard of that video game whatsoever. And my daughter does that to me too. She'll have some YouTuber she'll mention or some video game, and
See, I don't YouTube though. Like
you don't YouTube.
No.
So my daughter YouTubes, and I'm a good parent, so I try to watch and keep an eye on what she's YouTubing, but I still don't learn.
That's a full-time job.
It is.
There's too much on YouTube.
Well, and I can't sort it all out. She'll tell me, this person, that person, or whatever, and I just nod my head. She's, hey, Dad, remember the other day when we were talking about so-and-so? Well, guess what we did today? I said, yes. Oh, yeah. And I only say this live on camera because she never watches this show. So she watches YouTube. She just doesn't watch her dad on YouTube. See, we had a big discussion a few months back about whether or not the fact that I host a couple different shows here on YouTube qualifies me to be a YouTuber. And she really stretched her intellectual muscles to come out with to be able to justify the answer being no, because YouTubers are cool and dads are not, you see. So I was not allowed to be a YouTuber.
So we'll just start streaming something. We'll stream Civ 6.
Oh,
through the Switch. We'll just
we
stream
should
it
do
live.
that. We got live streaming capability now. Just hook up OBS.
We'll just start our own religion in the game and talk about how we can make it the most biblical religion possible.
Oh, that would be awesome. I like that
connection.
idea. New show coming up on the Trinity Joppa channel. And watch for it in 2020. Christian gaming with Christian and Ken.
It's
mostly Christian.
It's a winning.
Winning formula. I like it. All right. So what are the hobbies you got?
We did running, camping. Really just enjoy like reading. I'm trying to we got rid of our cable, so we're trying to just be better. However, Netflix and Hulu actively work against that. Yeah. So I'm trying to remember other hobbies. It changes honestly.
Well, what kind of stuff do you like to read?
Right now, I'm real into some Christian reading. So that's where I'm at right now.
You talking about Christian fiction or nonfiction?
Nonfiction.
Nonfiction.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite author that you're reading?
Right now, at the moment, I'm really into Francis Chan. just
Awesome.
because it's very scriptural, and every time I'm like, all right, I need to do better with my life. I hear you. I gotta try. So it's just reinvigorating at times and kind of new appreciation.
We just posted on our Facebook page a couple weeks ago, maybe a week ago. I posted a video with Francis Chan.
Yeah.
He did something with Ravi Zacharias. They were talking about. You should check that out. You should check that out if you're on our Facebook page. It was a really good video, tied into something that Pastor Jay was preaching about a couple weeks ago. So, all right. So movies. If you have a choice.
Okay.
All right. It's a Saturday night.
Okay.
And your options are actually, I shouldn't say Saturday night because that depends on what's on programming. But then again, maybe not because you're a Netflix person.
Yeah.
So you don't have the cable, so maybe not. All right, it's a Saturday night. You can stay in and watch TV.
Okay.
Or you can go out to a movie. Number one, which one do you choose? And number two, what do you watch?
So, if I could go out to the movies, which I really can't at the moment because of a toddler.
How old is that toddler again?
2.
How many months?
I don't know.
All right, go ahead.
More than 24. I don't know. I really like the Captain America movies.
Mm-hmm.
I like just because they're entertaining. And I feel like the Captain America ones at least had some kind of message to convey with their story.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just visual stimulation.
Overstimulation, yeah.
So I enjoy those. However, we've also found ourselves just staying inside to watch The Office just because I can empathize with the cringy awkwardness for some of those things just because I'm cringily awkward at times. However, I was thinking a great sitcom would be Church and just situational comedy.
All right, you realize that you just copped out of the answer completely, right? I
did.
You
I
had to
gave
choose
you
one or the
both.
other.
Yeah.
You said both. You
It
can't
depends
do both.
It depends on the mood.
Oh, I thought you were going to the
depends
movie theater with your phone and watching Netflix while you're in the theater.
I mean, that would be great multitasking skills.
And you get kicked out of the theater too. They generally frown on people having their devices.
I'm not stealing the movie though.
How do they
I'm
know
not,
that? They don't know that. They see you with the phone.
If I'm streaming The Office while I'm watching Captain America, it's pretty evident that I'm not recording the movie to sell on the internet.
All right, so we'll see. You try that. We'll see how long the theater personnel allow you to stay in there. So, all right, so last one.
Okay.
I'll wrap this up. I want to
right.
know what is the most exciting thing you've ever done. You ever gone scuba diving with sharks? You ever gone jumping out of an airplane with or without a parachute? What's the most... Okay, that without would not be exciting. It'd be stupid. So, what's the most exciting thing you've done?
Can we add parachuting while riding a shark?
Sure.
that?
2 sharks, kind of like you got, like you're water skiing on sharks.
Exactly, yeah, no. So I like to travel. So I've been to Australia, New Zealand, and Mexico. And
Wife's holding up a sign that says Sharknado.
terrible movie. The most exciting was Mexico because we went to where we took basic Spanish. I took 2 years of Spanish in high school. My wife had 3 years. We're all right, we can coast by with just enough.
We can ask where the bathroom is.
Yeah, so apparently, and we went to we figured was a touristy place.
Mm-hmm.
It was the touristy place for wealthy Mexicans in Mexico, not for Americans. It was the place where other people in Mexico go to. Mm-hmm. So there was very little Spanish or English. That was so. Mm-hmm. We wung it. It worked out. We ended up doing a road trip across the Yucatan to go to a couple places on the south of Cancun, but not Cancun because we're classier than resorts, I guess. We're more adventurous than that. But we went to a Mayan ruins and ended up just finding a cenote to swim in, which is a swimming hole in Mexico, just through a back road by chance. We're let's go for it. Just embrace the adventure. So
cool.
that whole adventure was probably the most. We just kind of wung it with it. We had a loose itinerary and just try to. There are no road rules in Mexico. We did find out.
Yeah, well,
they're there, but no one follows them.
It's kind of like I would say the most exciting and adventurous thing I ever did was I was a senior in high school. We were at a family cruise with my brothers and my parents, and one of the stops was in Jamaica. And we had some snorkeling thing scheduled, but it got canceled. And so we decided to do something similar. Well, let's just see what's around here. And so we decided let's hire a cab to take us around the island in Jamaica. Don't ever hire a cab to drive you anywhere in Jamaica. Oh my God, talk about road rules don't exist, okay? And this guy, we had this little tiny cab, picture like something the size of a VW Bug, okay, we're all in, and he is just whipping around. I mean, side of the road, who cares, the speed limits, forget about it. How fast can you get the pedal down to, And we all thought we were going to die. But then again, we didn't pay him a lot, so you get what you pay for.
Yeah, well, we had that in Australia. My grandmother found, she's like, oh, I saw a dog. And we're in the middle of the outback. The hotel is just a room building in the outback in the desert. And she's like, oh, I found a dog. I'm like, really? She's like, yeah. It tried to walk up to me, like, did you pet the dog? She's like, no. I'm like, good, because that was probably a dingo that was walking around at night, and you were trying to pet the dingo.
Dingo's got my baby. Sorry. Start with film references. I'm a film guy. So
that's a classic one.
That is a classic. Yeah. Yes. All right. I think we are out of time. My wife has already held up the 20-minute thing, and we've been really, really bad the last 2 episodes. I've gone like 35 minutes. I'm not going to let that happen this time. We're going to cut it up before she holds up the 25. She's holding up the 25-minute sign. Didn't quite make it. All right. But thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you all for watching. Hey, if you did like this episode, do me a favor. Go ahead and click the like button. That's a thumbs up button right here on the YouTube page. Also, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We, as of this filming, we are almost to 500 subscribers, but we are not quite there yet. So please, 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 if you're watching this episode and you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, you're missing out on some of the wonderful, great content we put on here. So please go ahead and subscribe and share this channel. Tell other people about it. Share this video. Ask your friends to subscribe. Get us going. Get us over that $500 subscriber lump. If you want to send us $500, we could buy some new equipment. That'd be great too. But no, get us over the 500 subscriber hurdle. We'd really, really appreciate that. Also, give us a like on Facebook. We have a Facebook page. It's called Trinity Joppa Channel, where we do post some behind the scenes things and some ideas about what's coming up there as well. So that's all I got. Thank you, sir.
Yep, no problem.
It was an honor. Hope you learned something about Christian. Thank you all for watching, and God bless.
In your word we will follow.